So noticing how it is to stop and lie down. Noticing how you're breathing. Often starting sessions this way with a moment of pausing, a moment of noticing how you are, how your body is. Interrupting doing mode. So this is one of the things that sets yoga aside potentially, depending on how you practice it, from other exercises, is that it's a meditative, mindful practice. We don't necessarily sit still and meditate all the time. That could be part of a yoga session. And we are usually aiming to be aware of our body, our breath, how our mind is, and how our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings might be influencing our practice. We work with intentions to be compassionate to ourselves, to train us for being compassionate to others and in the world. And this mindful awareness of how we are as a body and as a mind and as a body-mind connected is a starting point for the way we act on the yoga mat and in the world. Pausing and stopping. As a practice for the start of the day, this can be very nice to start with a little bit of back bending and opening of the chest in an easygoing way, emphasizing relaxation to begin with. So if you're resting back with something underneath your upper back, you could have your elbows as support or your whole arms on the floor. You could have your knees bent to stabilize you, or your legs straight. And whether you've got a ball under your upper back or not, or a cushion or a rolled up blanket, you can place your hands or your awareness, if your arms are out there, on the lower ribs and the upper part of your abdomen. So kind of this area between the navel and the chest. And this is where your diaphragm is. It's at the bottom of the ribs, and it does move up and down, but it attaches at the front of the body to the base of your breastbone, and at the back it attaches to your spine at the same kind of height level. Placing your attention there to that point where your ribs would flare out on the in-breath and narrow back down, taper back down towards your waist on the out-breath. Take a few complete mindful exhalations there. Noticing how the in-breath deepens and the out-breath is more complete. Waking up the lower parts of the lungs and also the sides of the lungs, the side ribs with this movement. And then if it feels comfortable, you can place your hands on your side ribs, your elbows supporting you on the floor. You can do the back of your hands like I'm doing at the moment, or take your thumbs around the side and your fingers around the front. And then seeing if you can actively breathe in towards your hands. And then as you breathe out, feeling that tapering back inwards of the ribs. Emphasizing sideways breathing, like an accordion, in and out. And having something under your upper back, a little ball or whatever you're using, can help us to emphasize this movement. It becomes a bit more of a stretch. Again, there might be that novelty for our breathing system and nervous system. Oh, this feels different. Whilst we're able to relax our weight on the floor. There's very little effort involved. And then rolling onto one side and removing anything you have under your lower back. And settling back down with your back on the floor. And maybe that feels a bit novel now. Oh, that feels different now. Paying attention to your shoulder blades, your back, your spine. Lower back maybe dropping a bit closer to the floor. And hugging your knees in towards your chest. Letting the lower back hug the floor a little bit more. Taking a rock from side to side. And then bringing the knees back to the center. Holding onto one knee and stretching the other leg out on the floor, extending the straight leg through the heel. Noticing the front of your hip, how that feels, the hip flexor. Taking one or two breaths there and then changing sides. So this is extending the hip flexor muscles here at the front of the thigh. It might feel quite neutral. After all, it's similar to standing. And you might feel a bit of a stretch. So noticing how it is for you, changing sides every one or two breaths. And if you're feeling one side is a bit tighter than the other, you might become aware of some asymmetry, then you can spend a little longer with that leg extended. feels the same. You can keep changing sides, and then we can add a little bit of an extra stretch by contracting the buttock of the extended leg when we straighten that leg out. Contracting the buttock, so you might feel your pelvis rolling very slightly towards the bent knee side. Contract, hold for a breath or two, and then slowly release. It might also create a bit of release in your lower back, so notice how this might feel beneficial for you. Contract the buttock on the side where you've straightened the leg. Hold for a breath or two. Notice how this adds a stretch at the front and maybe a release at the back when you gradually let go of that contraction. And again, you can do a bit more on the side that seems to hold more tension. Maybe repeat the contract and release 2 or 3 times on that side. Or keep changing sides if you feel quite symmetrical in this regard. So we're assessing our own body by being aware and noticing what's going on, what feels different. And doing this with kindness and acceptance, acknowledging these patterns are there, these asymmetrical patterns are there because of our personal histories, our body's history, and we're taking care of that. There's no need to judge, just noticing, seeing what we can do to bring back a bit of balance. And hugging your both knees in towards your chest. And lowering the feet back down. And taking a little rest there again, noticing how you're breathing. We've done some very gentle back bending, backward bending. And for the hip there, and for the upper body, upper spine, just by lying on the floor or using something like a ball or a cushion or a rolled up blanket under the upper back. I'll do another little video about how we can use these. We'll do a bit more of that so you can play with it at home and in your restorative practice. So now we'll do a little bit more for this breathing on the side ribs, along the side ribs. So let's roll onto one side, taking your knees in front of your hips and your knees at a right angle. So in fact there's a right angle between your torso and your thighs and a right angle at your knees. And then you might like something under your head, so a yoga block can feel useful here because you'll be able to roll on it a little bit in a moment as well. Though a cushion is fine if you don't have a block or a book handy. And we'll start with the hands in front of us with the palms aligned, so top palm aligned with the bottom palm. And taking a couple of breaths, and as you exhale, allowing your body to relax onto the floor. So noticing how the bottom side that's lying on the floor releases onto the floor, your waist, your ribs, letting the top side kind of release down. Settling for a couple of breaths. And then taking your hand over your head. So it's my right hand that's on the top, might be your left hand. And see if you can take it over your head so it's kind of holding the ear on the bottom of the head, the side that's facing the ground or the block. So this is creating a bit more openness in the side ribs, and it's a sense of cradling your head. If it's not comfortable, you could rest it over your head. I've got the sofa here. You could rest it on something if you're in a similar position, or extend it above your head. And it's mainly to open this area a bit more, and you can actually, as I'm doing, stroke your rib cage and your waist with your hand, a little bit of massage, move the skin around, feel the spaces between your ribs. You can close your eyes and notice the sensations in this part of your body. You can actually hold some tightness there. Be stiffness in these intercostal muscles between the ribs. This can all be very stimulating for the breath, and great for recovery after chest infections, lung infections, even COVID if you've had it and you have trouble with your breathing. Bringing attention there to parts of the lungs that we're not normally aware of, parts of our breathing apparatus, as it were, that we're not normally aware of. And then resting the bottom arm down again. If it gets uncomfortable to have your arm raised, your top arm raised, just bring it down every now and again. Do a little shoulder roll and then bring it back. And now let's take a full breath out here on our side, exhaling deeply and then inhaling. Really breathing into this lung, this side of the body. 2 or 3 deep breaths. And then bringing the arm down again, really feeling your breath settling down now. After some deep breaths, the need to breathe, the signals from the brain that indicate the need to breathe, quieten down because we've done some deep breaths. So probably naturally find the breath becoming quieter. And then letting our hand, the top hand, trail across the arm, across the chest, and letting your elbow release towards the floor, keeping your hand on your shoulder. So it's kind of a half twist. Your knees will probably stay together or stay fairly close together. And then going back. So aware of the arm, the palms stroking, and then the hands stroking the arm. Very gentle massage across the chest. A little bit of a stretch here. Your elbow might not reach the floor, just see where it goes. And feeling this shoulder where your hand is opening up a little bit. Maybe massaging a bit around the shoulder, the collarbone with your fingertips. What can you feel? What can you notice? And then going back and doing this stretch once more. So combining loving, caring touch with a stretch, gentle massage. And then going back, aligning your hands again. Noticing how your breath is. And then go to the other side, and if you're happy you've got this down, you could simply roll onto your other side and listen to my guidance. If you need to see the screen, you could go to the other side of your mat. So basically taking your head to the other end. And again, paying attention to the placement of your knees and your feet. So you're creating a right angle, hands aligned, maybe something under your head. And now feeling the other side of your waist on the ground. 2 or 3 full breaths out, deep breaths in. And seeing how it would be to stretch your arm up over your head, holding your ear on the other side of your head. Stretching it over and beginning to open up the side of your body facing the ceiling, massaging it with your hand if you can comfortably reach, exploring the muscles between the ribs. Every now and again you could take a deep breath again to notice what's going on a little bit more with these muscles between your ribs to help release them as you exhale, stretch them as you inhale. Maybe it feels different than the other side. It often does. Often we don't breathe symmetrically. If our posture isn't symmetrical, which for most of us it isn't, then we're also likely to breathe more into one lung than the other. Also, our heart is expanding a little bit more into the left side of the chest, so there is a bit less lung space there. It might feel different. And after doing a few of these breaths and massages with the arm up, we can then release the arm. Maybe give a little bit of a shoulder roll there, lying on the side. And then aligning the arms and the hands so one hand is on top of the other. And notice how you're breathing. And then going into a a half twist, letting your hand stroke your bottom arm. Notice the shape of your arm and then the structure of your upper chest, and then letting your elbow release towards the ground. Noticing the stretch. And then going back. This gentle, kind touch can already help us to begin to release through the arms as well as the shoulders and upper chest. And this second time we can keep our hand on this shoulder for a while. My elbow isn't quite on the floor. I'm just letting the weight of it release down towards the floor. And doing a little bit of pressure, massage, just fingertips pressing down and releasing around the shoulder, around the collarbone. Things can feel a bit tight there around the top of the chest, maybe as well the pectoral muscles. And then when you're ready, coming back across. Returning to the twist once more with a mini shoulder massage. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know how to massage, I've never done this, I haven't done a course in it, I don't know where muscles are, it doesn't really matter. You can follow what feels nice, what feels helpful, what feels pleasant. If you notice a little bit of a knot, can you move it around a bit? Gently press it. If you notice a tightness, the same thing. Your body knows what feels good. All you need to do is pay attention in a kind way. And then coming back to lying on your side. And noticing your breathing. Excellent. And then we'll come to all fours. So you can have a block or a book still handy. You could be on your forearms or on your hands and knees. And taking a couple of breaths on our hands and knees. And noticing our breath. Where do you feel the movement of your breath in the all fours position? And then coming towards child pose. So here you could have a rolled up blanket or towel under your ankles if you are stiff there or get cramp easily. You can have a block or a cushion under your forehead and or at the back of your knees. Just a few more things there you could try to ease knee pain, ankle stiffness, and to bring the floor a bit closer if you can't get your head down easily. Then resting your arms by your feet first of all. Take a couple of breaths there. Breathing deeply again, out fully and in deeply to notice your breath, where you can feel it moving. And then bringing your arms forwards. You could also have your hands under your forehead. And again, 2 or 3 deeper breaths in that extended child position, noticing your breathing. And then coming back up to all fours or elbows and hands. Taking a little back bend, looking forwards, looking ahead, bringing the head up. And a forward bend, cat. A little wriggle. Feeling into the muscles of the torso. One more back bend. Little wriggle again. And then coming up to kneeling or upright kneeling. Giving your hands a bit of a shake. Shoulders and arms a bit of a shake. You could come to sitting on your heels if that's comfortable. And notice how your breath is again. So a great way to stimulate the breath, to kind of work on the musculature of the ribs, the upper back, sides. Hopefully feeling a bit as if you've had a lovely massage, which you kind of have, and using this for your lung health, your capacity to breathe, which will help you improve your fitness. And it can also feel very restorative, so noticing how it's benefited you.